What's up, Booms? It's Boomoo here with another video talking about basically my story, where I came from, and how I'm here today. So let's get started. So, how I came to the United States is pretty simple. My dad is actually graduated college and was looking to pursue his PhD to become a professor. So, out of all the places that he could go, he decided to come to the United States, obviously looking for his particular American dream during the time. We're located in Tucson, Arizona, just a normal family from Korea, South Korea specifically. We were living in Tucson. My dad was pursuing at University of Arizona for his PhD, graduated there, just like any immigrant parent wish for their actual kids themselves. They just want us to have a better life, so we were actually living in the United States. I'm actually a first generation Korean American when it comes to my family. Basically, we were just living the life, and to make it fast forward, to make a long story short, my mom basically got murdered when I was 7 years old due to a very tragic accident. If you guys want me to talk about that story, I'll make it a separate video on that because it's just a very, very long story. And fast forward, family from South Korea that came over, we had a funeral, basically discussing on how my life should be and who's going to take care of me at 6 years old when that incident occurred specifically. Basically, I had to move to South Korea, where I stayed with my aunt's side. My sister was 10 years older than me, but she wasn't 18 years old or even had a job to even like take care of me in a very parental figure manner, however you want to describe the vocabulary for that. Moved to Korea, and the funny thing is, it was just an interesting experience in my point of view, just because I've never seen so many Koreans in my life when I was just living in the United States. Korea, basically, I had to learn the language, I had to know how to eat kimchi, get adjusted to soybean paste soups, which is called doenjangjjigae, and going through that traditional roller coaster of like figuring out what Korean foods that you like and don't like. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Korean barbecue. Grew up with it. Korean seafood from 7 years old, 14 years old. My appetite is really adjusted to more of the 손맛. I know how to speak Korean too. Basically, what I said is the love and the dedication put into your hands into it. That's what we call 손맛. So I had to learn Korean from start to finish, and I basically forgot some of my English just because I haven't been using it like very consistently since I was in a country where you were using a different language. So I totally forgot a really decent chunk of English during that time for me. When I was 14 years old, when my sister was 24, my dad basically gave the green light. And for those that I haven't mentioned, is my dad was actually living in Korea during that time. He was one of those dads who living in Daejeon. Even when we were in the States, my dad was pursuing as a professor at Korea, so really he wasn't part of my life much so much. He was one of those dads who was always at work, settled in a different location. When my dad gave the ring that supposedly that he's 14 years old now, you're 24, you can take care of him, are you willing to take the challenge? My sister wanted to take the challenge as a 24-year-old to take care of a 14-year-old adolescent during the time when I was 8th grade. Fast forward, I was located in St. John's Middle School in St. Petersburg, a Catholic school, and it was a big wake-up call because I was just basically the only Asian kid in that middle school Catholic private school environment. I instantly became like almost a cool kid in a sense, but just like anything, like I was just one of that rare breed to I got accustomed to seeing him every single day, and I just didn't really know how to socialize really well. When I was in Korea, I had a really hard time making friends over there just because I was the kid known living with his aunt, doesn't really speak Korean, always like dozing off in a different headspace. So my nickname during growing up was Pometsy, which is my first name, Bum, and head. I don't know what it came up about, but I really didn't like that nickname whatsoever. I still get called it every now and then. I even tell like you should stop saying it, but people keep on saying it. So when I went to middle school, making friends was like pretty hard. I'll say I made no friends. I was just known as the cool kid, but never really hung out with anyone just because I didn't really know how to socialize. I was homesick, taken away from 14 years old from like, I was living with my aunt. Within my relationship with my aunt was like almost like I was almost being treated like a prince. I never got like yelled at. I did get yelled at like once every like 4 years, which was really rare, and never was like taken to the alpha approach or like how to be a man. My uncle was always that person who went to work at 8 a.m., came back at home at 8 p.m. He would watch TV and really never really much had a conversation, I would say. Like, none at all. I won't say I even have a relationship. Then my sister was going to law school, like I said. When 8th grade was over, time to choose high school, I had no choice but to move to Illinois because my sister got accepted to a top 5 law school. I was one of those kids, like, I had no choice but to move to a different state to go to high school. And from going to St. Petersburg, Florida, to all the way to Champaign, Illinois, middle of nowhere, nothing but cornfields and very suburban area. And I was instantly known as that really weird kid. First of all, there's not a lot of Asian kids in that school, and probably there was like 10 to 20 Asian kids, if I remember correctly. And it's just predominantly white, really like traditional area, middle of nowhere. People were like, hey, where you from? And I said, I'm from like St. Petersburg, Florida. And I didn't know like where to say I'm from St. Petersburg, Florida. I'm from Korea. Who do you live with? I live with my sister. What made you move from Florida all the way to freaking here? Why you even live with your sister? I was instantly known as the weird kid. I didn't want to put my business out there. And even if I did, it's just a really, 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 really long story. The worst part is like I'm making friends from zero to back to zero, and I just didn't know how to socialize whatsoever. The school was pretty racist at the same time. The guys were just like making fun of me of being Asian. They would say ching chong. They even asked, do you do any martial arts? You know how to speak Chinese instead of asking what's your nationality. I was even born in the United States, so I almost had like a big identity crisis on who I was and why I'm here and why I have like literally no choice but to be here, not even knowing how to socialize with an American because I'm coming from a very Korean background, from learning English to Korean to all the way English back again. Never really conversed with a white American or black American. I was always a kid who was being in situations just put in there without my control. So I always felt numb, if that makes sense. Like, about my situation, just because I had no parental figure at the time. My mom passing away at 7 and my dad was always at work. College professor career, like, am I being in love with my family? And my sister's always at law school trying to be a lawyer. Everyone's else parents are at sporting events, family picnics. They come over, and it was crazy enough. My dad didn't even come to my middle school graduation. I don't know the reason why he didn't come. Didn't find out at all. And it was really hurtful. It's a really hard pill to swallow when you see like everyone's family members being there. My family always say like, oh, your family situation is a little bit different, and I just never could try to figure out how to have a normal life, having a big identity crisis, and I was a victim of my mental health, if that makes sense. I just didn't know how to overcome the adversity. I didn't know how to overcome the stress as a 14-year-old all the way to 18-year-old all by myself, and dealing with the racism. One kid, I know it was someone from basketball, even drew a very small wiener on the bathroom, in the high school bathroom, in a marker where all the people say like bad stuff, all the like inappropriate things that you don't want to even show your own kids, what a high school kids would do, like, because they don't know better. It was just it was a very negative environment. If I have to say like, would I wish my worst enemy to go back to that school and being an Asian kid go to that school? Not really at all. It was a really big pill to swallow during my freshman year. It was really hard and not able to even control my emotions. And I was joining high school basketball because that was the only sport I like. I was one of those like really beta kids when the coach says you should get, you, Trevor, Abumu, go get some water. And I'm just glad that I could just help out the team, basically just giving them water to stay hydrated during a really close, tight game. Then the teammate, while we were filling water, saying, yo, aren't you pissed that we're just like filling water and not being playing there out the field? That was a big like aha moment to me that I was just really beta. And another moment came up when our team was leading by 15 points in the fourth quarter. All of my teammates were saying you should go out and score a point because I never scored a point during my freshman year of high school. Instead of saying, coach, put me back in the game, I want to put up some points on the board, I said, coach, can I get back? Can I go in the game? I said it like that. Like, the Asian culture was all about you always want to ask permission, but in the Western culture, you demand what you want. Ultimately, right? And I never knew that. I never learned that at all, especially if you don't have any parental figures. When your sister is trying to be a law student, parent, the sister, all that, and pretty much focusing on a career, and I'm not getting any love or being pampered at all. It was a really struggle during my freshman and sophomore year trying to find my personality as an identity. There was nothing really else to do, so all I did was just study and just put up some grades up, and it was almost like a blur, and I almost felt like numb during my freshman year and sophomore year. Then, funny enough, after my sophomore year, which was my junior year, my sister actually graduated during 2008. Of course, one of the best years to graduate, right? We moved to California, San Diego, sunny California, and from going to Florida, Illinois to California just because she always wanted to get a job in sunny California. She liked that lifestyle, beach lifestyle. When we went there, it was like a totally different world to me. I went to a Catholic school again. To fill you guys in, my family, my mom was very hardcore Catholic and always told my dad that our kids should go to a Catholic school. When she spoke to my dad about how they were going to raise us as kids. When my mom passed away, my dad kept that promise, which I say that's a big man of value for us, and what, as a single parent, coming from a college professor salary, almost paying for a college tuition in a sense during that time. And I had to go back from zero to zero, all back to zero again, trying to make some friends, and my mindset was I'm just here for business, which is get some grades and get the freak out and live my college life. So just get a job, just call that a life. That was basically my mindset because I was just so tired being controlled by other people about my situation, my circumstance, not knowing what's good for me, what's bad for me, getting consumed by the environment. I was just one of those kids who always went to the basketball courts. Hoop was one of my favorite sport because that's probably the only sport that you can play by yourself. All you need is a basketball and a hoop and you're good to go compared to soccer or baseball. I tried for the high school basketball team, didn't make it. I wasn't really good. So I did track and field, made some good friends over there, and really track and field actually changed my life just because I was able to find some good people finally. I think at 18 years old I finally found my groove to make some friends. Of course, fast forward again, senior years is over when I was actually making some friends and getting accustomed to the Western lifestyle and the Cali lifestyle where there's more diversity, there's more acceptance, and there's more over a better melting pot. Then college comes over. I didn't want to go to college just because I was just freaking so sick and tired. I think it was just my testosterone level was really high at my adolescence too, probably. I just didn't want to go to college. I just wanted to tell them that I want to pursue. They basically talked me out of it, of course, just like any Asian parent would. Especially if your dad was a college professor who comes from an education background and your sister's just got a job after 2009. And my sister and I were bumping heads all the time because she was really in a sensitive headspace when it comes to studying, passing the bar, trying to take care of me, trying to raise me feeling like I didn't get any love and attention. She even cried saying I was trying to do my best, and I was a guy who just didn't really understand why I'm here and why I'm in this situation. Why can't I just be like other kids in Korea, just after high school, just go to a college and just do it that way? Why am I in this situation? More in the victim mentality rather than how to be more prosperous or positive or in the more alpha state. That was my mindset back in the day. College comes over. Again, I'm in a space that I don't want to be. I was like, you know what? This is going to be 4 years, so let me make the best out of it. The thing is, I was in community college because I just don't want to get huge student loan debt. Then my dad and we were talking, basically talked me out of, instead of staying in California, I should go to UCF because they gave me the most scholarship money. Because me and my dad argued, your first 2 years, 19 and 20, you had it your way. And I was just so done with the situation of them controlling me or them telling me what to do. After I graduated college, basically I just made a determination that I was gonna just have my own business. I'm gonna control my situation. I always wanted to own my own business, have a lot of money, because we don't come from a lot of money situation. We're not really like a prosperous family or considered rich in any case whatsoever as a family. Growing up, my sister, even a lawyer, she was considered an international student because she was Korean and she wasn't a citizen. So she has a significant amount of student loans on her side. My dad is a college professor, not making over six figures whatsoever, even though he has a very prestigious job, really well known in Korea as well, in the institution that he belongs to. Just jump a little bit back, at 18 years old, when I was at the gym, this guy who did MLM approached me, telling me at his 23 he actually owns a business, and that kind of changing my perspective. I was like, what? You're 23 and you own a business? Because my mindset at 18 years old, 19 years old was that you had to have a ton of capital. You have to be born from a rich parent or a rich relative, and that's how you can actually start a business. So when he told me about multi-level marketing and he shared with me a book of Robert Kiyosaki, 4 income streams of S, E, B, and I, it kind of really switched my perspective of how you can make money. And I just saw an avenue where, you know what, I don't want to be controlled my life like I'm going to be controlled being an employee. And that's when I was working at Penn Express during the time when I was 18. And I just couldn't really imagine, fathom myself, someone telling me how to do a certain thing, and I have a income cap. It really blew my mind, and I was just really frustrated just doing that. And I couldn't even imagine after graduating college what my life would look like. I was pursuing an economics degree, and after, if you guys want to learn more about my college story, I have actually a video somewhere around the here that basically talks about it. And when I graduated, I was trying to look for a job just so I can have some couple money. But my mindset was always like, I'm going to start a business. I'm going to start a business, have it my way, and live the way that I want. And still to this day, my dad and sister tells me, checks up on me, how's the job, how's the work, don't you want to do something else, don't you want to go to grad school, because they always want me to be safe rather than prosper or just be in the worst situation possible. That's just how parents are, I feel like. So yeah, I was never really that guy who learned how to talk to a girl or learn how to make friends or learn how to make money or budget your money. I always had to learn it like all by myself once I graduated high school. I don't think they just never got or understood my situation, where I came from. Just like any kid who doesn't really understand their parents until you become a parent is what's usually what I hear, right? But yeah, I think I'm going on a loop and fathom on it. But yeah, I just wanted to just be different. Just live the life I want. Just do it my way, whether it was becoming an entrepreneur or a solopreneur. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to start a YouTube channel, just so I can reach out to the next kid who's going through a situation like me, or who has a single parent that's not really getting the attention, or have a family and just feel like you're stuck in a situation where you have no control. I just want to tell you that things will get better. My situation is not perfect. I'm not saying like I have multi-million dollars. You can see the setting is not like extravagant. This is more like a video testimonial to not only to guys like, or people like you guys that might be seeing this, who might relate or going through a really hard time, that things will get better. And my life is getting better slowly by the month in a situation. And I'm 28 years old. It's been 4 years since I graduated college. I still have student loan debt. I'm not living the extravagant life. I'm not rich. I'm not married. I don't have a girlfriend or anything like that. But I'm still relatively happy. I'm still alive. I have a body. I have a mind. And for those who feel behind or feel like nothing is going your way, just understand things will get better. You will be developed as a person, and keep in mind and the vision of a person you want to become, and chase towards and have that confidence that you are going to become that person. It's not about finding yourself, it's trying to become that person that you're looking for yourself to become. And I think that's going to be the biggest mind shift that you guys will have. And once you graduate college or graduate high school, which I was dying to wait for my whole entire life to happen, just so I can be considered an adult and tell my family members it's my way. I think that's one of the biggest happinesses that happened to me, even though that might be heartbreaking to a parent might hear. I know a friend that bumped heads a lot with his Filipino family, but he's one of the most successful guys that I know out there in the internet marketing space. And yeah, you're gonna meet a ton of cool people throughout life. I went through a sales job just to do a side hustle on it, right? Make some couple money over there and get a job, and after getting that job, gather enough capital and start my own business. But I learned through sales, like these really educated people, smart people, just going through a lot of things in life and not being where they're at and being stuck. Because in sales you get to meet a lot of people. Yeah, I just get to learn, like, even though they have an extravagant title, even though they have a lot of money, that really some people are still stuck, even if they are living in their 30s or 40s or 50s. That just because you reach a certain age level doesn't mean like the problems is going to be solved. You're always going to go through something in life and some circumstance in life. It's all about how you adapt and adjust. When I was in my teenagers, I didn't know how to adjust, just because I was stuck, and I felt like I didn't know how to mentally go against my head, because I was more consuming the negativity rather than the positivity of my circumstances. But yeah, things will get better, man. Trust me, just focus on the routine and focus on what you're looking for as a person. Like there will be some days where you're gonna go through the McDonald's, go through from A to Z on the dollar menu. You're gonna find some days where wow, you just had an 8 grand paycheck night, a 10 grand paycheck to now like having a negative 10 grand in your account. And you're gonna go through a lot of sayings like, oh, what are you doing now? Aren't you doing well off or something like that? You're gonna hear some things like that still. Life is gonna get better. This channel is dedicated for people like you who are behind, getting more personal and getting a little bit more vulnerable to you guys because I want to build a relationship with y'all. So yeah, if you like this video, give it a like, subscribe, and go through this journey of a very loud, numerous amount of people really standing out. So cheers to that, and I'll see you guys on the next video.